One of the things I've mentioned quite a bit in the segments that I've done pertaining to politics is that Donald Trump was able to attract moderate Democrats and even some staunch Democrats into voting for him. I mean, in reality, it's kind of obvious. If you want to win, you have to get the center. Both extremes are vying for everybody in the middle. If Trump is going to speak to them better than the Democrats will, well, then Trump wins. It seems like Democrats haven't gotten the memo. We have this story from the Associated Press. Quote, way too extreme. Some Democrats warn against moving left. Yeah, but it's the working class union Democrats. It's actual labor. No, seriously, the craziest thing to me, even exemplified in this story by the Associated Press, is that urban Democrats who do not represent labor in this country, they tend to be progressive, well-off, et cetera, college degrees. They're the ones who are very, very hardcore Democrat right now, progressive, all that stuff. But these guys, working class union labor Democrats, voted for Trump last time, will vote for Trump again this time, don't have Twitter accounts and won't be voting Democrat. That's the most important thing. So you see these Democrats, they're embracing Twitter. They're as Bill Maher said, they need to stand up to Twitter and ignore the mob, but the media is wrapped up in it. So an interesting thing starts to emerge. The Democrats and the media establishment are pandering to a tiny, tiny subsection of the Democrats, while the rest of them are being left behind and ignored and don't quite understand why. They're not in the conversation. They're not on Twitter. They don't know what you're talking about. They don't know why. All they know is their jobs have gone away and Trump is talking about it. If the Democrats won't, don't be surprised when you see working class union Democrats, registered Democrats. That's the big thing. They're registered Democrats voting Trump. It's just like the story we saw from CNN that in Minnesota, a Democratic stronghold has flipped for Trump at the national level, but still votes Democrat locally. Twitter is destroying the Democratic Party. I'll just say it. I'm being a bit hyperbolic. I get it. Let's read the story. The AP reports. The Democrats of Beaver County, Pennsylvania, crowded onto the steps of a local courthouse. Dozens of union men protesting a looming power plant closure that would put their livelihoods at risk. The crowd was overwhelmingly white and male, and few had college degrees. Left unsaid, at least from the podium, were broader concerns about the National Democratic Party many believe no longer represents them. Welcome to the club. Quote, Democrats are becoming way too extreme. Sean Majors, a 42-year-old high school graduate who has worked at the nearby Beaver Valley Power Station for almost his entire adult life, said before last week's event began. He said he voted for Trump last time and he's going to vote for Trump again. A few days earlier, tens of thousands of Democrats crowded into a Manhattan park cheering Elizabeth Warren's calls for Medicare for all, a crackdown on gun violence, and the end of the fossil fuel industry. The crowd was ethnically diverse, heavily female, and highly educated. People like 41-year-old Kelly Hafferman of Brooklyn, who has a master's degree and works at an Ivy League university not far away. I want the bold ideas, Hafferman said, praising the leftward shift of her party's politics. I want to be around people who feel the same way. That was annoying. We'll ignore the chime from my Windows Update nonsense. Here's the thing. People in cities are embracing this woke, far-left, progressive, bold ideas. Okay, I get it. What they don't seem to realize is that people in the rural parts of this country are the ones who are producing everything. In the digital economy, sure, yeah, it's big cities, but I think that's going to start going away. There's absolutely no reason to have a news organization headquartered in New York City. Why would the internet is great. Now you can work anywhere. You can go to the middle of nowhere, buy a really cheap property, build your own. It's way cheaper. It's got the internet infrastructure. I kid you not, Central PA has amazing internet infrastructure, 2 gigabytes, so 2 gigabit internet. So why would anybody want to do that? I think this is bad news for progressives and for Democrats as media begins collapsing because, well, for one thing, they're spending too much on New York property. I kid you not. Mike.com had their office in the World Trade Center in Freedom Tower. Seriously, why would you do that? You could open you could go upstate where there's good internet, save a ton of money. While they're going out of business, I think we're going to see a dramatic shift. But it's surprising to me that when you look at the middle of the country, what do you see? Mostly white men, at least in this story, who are working at power plants, actually producing the electricity you need. They're farmers, they're manufacturers, their jobs are going away, and this is really, really bad news for this country. Trump comes out and speaks to them And what happens? The media mocks and belittles them. They belittle the poor working class in these areas, not realizing they are registered Democrats. Check this out. The dueling scenes illustrate the high-stakes debate playing out among Democrats just over 4 months before the party begins to select its next presidential nominee. While the party's coastal elites demand bold liberal policies, working-class voters in the Midwest are warning presidential candidates to move to the middle or risk giving Donald Trump another 4 years in the White House. He's going to get it for this reason. The highly educated urban Democrats may be the most vocal, particularly on Twitter, but it is the working class in places like Beaver County who may ultimately decide Trump's fate. None of the dozen or so union workers interviewed at a protest late last week had Twitter accounts. None. They have no idea what you're talking about or why. None had 4-year college degrees, and few were committed to voting Democrat in 2020, although most were registered as such. And there it is. Registered union Democrats who voted for Trump, who are going to vote for Trump again, who don't have Twitter accounts. So you have to wonder why they are pandering to the Twitter crowd, this tiny minority of individuals that will not get you the vote. I guess people seem to think that it's that woke minority on Twitter who will be Democratic primary voters, and that's probably true. So we'll see the massive 180 from whoever ends up winning. But I kind of doubt it. Maybe someone like Cory Booker or Kamala Harris might pander politically as best they can, and then when it comes time, election time, they'll walk everything back. But this is the era of digital media, of social media, and the internet is forever. It was really easy a couple decades ago for someone like Elizabeth Warren to go and pander, go to a small crowd and be like, we're going to abolish private healthcare and get you all government healthcare, where it worked. Then when she gets up on the debate stage, can say something completely different. Today's day and age, you're going to see all the fact-check videos popping up on Twitter and the media. They're not going to survive. You're going to see people like these union Democrats, who are going to be like, they came here and promised they'd fix our jobs, then go up on stage and say something completely different. And they're going to see those videos and they're going to be like, wait, what? Because the videos will be forever. Daniel Keener, a 72-year-old Democrat who retired after more than 2 decades at the nearby power plant, said his party has moved way too far left. Every one of them wants to take my gun, said Keener, mentioning the handgun clipped to his left pocket. He said he's committed to Trump in 2020, but he'll likely maintain his Democratic registration because he's a union man and his family has a long history with the party. Look at this! A Democrat union guy who's got a gun and is angry at the conversation. How much more obvious could it be? The Democrats are setting themselves on fire policy-wise. And you know what they're doing outside of policy? They're getting on this ridiculous impeachment train. That's going to be my next video coming up before. I think the Democrats are walking into a trap as it pertains to impeachment and Ukraine and all this stuff. But we'll talk about the policy right now. Democrats, when they do campaign on like Second Amendment, they offend union working class union guys who are Democratic Party members. When they talk about all these far left things on immigration and healthcare, they are offending and pushing away their own base, their own voters. Stand up to Twitter. They say, Republicans suffered sweeping losses in the 2018 midterm elections, in part because Trump's turbulent leadership style and divisive policies have alienated women. Sure, but I think the bigger issue is Trump's base are Democrats like this. You can see it. Okay? I shouldn't say Trump's base, but Trump has strong Democrat support. We are seeing it. Okay? So what happens is these people come out for their local representatives who are moderates. And as we know, I've cited this before, moderates won big. The far left did not. According to The Economist, it was something like 79 progressives far left ran and only 7 won. And it was urban areas, sort of. For the most part, I think, the squad was very urban. You look at these rural areas who won moderates. Moderates won. Democrats voting for Trump get him in office. How is this not obvious to them? So I'll tell you what. If they don't pay attention to this, you know what's going to happen? Well, Trump's going to win. The Democrats are going to flounder. And I don't see how they'll recover. Because at the national level, they are more concerned about woke digital media than what their own party members think. They say, but he won the presidency in 2016 on the backs of working class men in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, states that hadn't backed a Republican in almost 2 decades. They say Beaver County, a region just outside Pittsburgh, set along the Ohio border, is one of 14 counties in Pennsylvania that Trump carried in 2016, where Democrats had a registration advantage. There were more than 59,000 registered Democrats and 40,000 registered Republicans in the county that year, but Trump ultimately carried Beaver County by almost 16,000 votes, according to data compiled by the Associated Press. That means 40,000 registered Republicans, maybe not all of them voted for Trump. The majority, Democrat, that means many of them voted for Trump. If he carried it by 16,000 votes, that is a huge swing for Democratic voters to support Donald Trump. It's just so obvious to me. I don't know. It seems like everything plays out on repeat. We hear these stories over and over again. I come out, I do a video saying basically the same things from the same stories. I'm about to do another video talking about how the Democrats are going to screw everything up by trying to go for impeachment. Didn't I do that video a month ago? What is wrong with these people, man? I just don't understand. Did the writers for our simulated universe get bored and just click repeat? Because how many times do we have to hear, I'm joking, but let's be serious. How many times do we have to hear stories about working class Americans, union Democrats, voting for Trump, complaining about the far left, and they say, I'm conservative? I'll tell you what, I was down there at Occupy Wall Street, okay? That's where I got started with everything. I've talked to a lot of people. I understand what they're saying and why they're saying it. I'm right here with labor, the actual working class in this country, not the upscale, elite, college-educated people making $100,000 a year who live in New York and want bold, progressive ideas, who have no idea what's going on in the middle of the country and where their food even comes from. I'm trying to better understand what's happening, and I see people like this, working class Americans, wondering why their jobs are going away, wondering why Democrats are coming after them and punishing them and insulting them. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. I'm not going to cater to the fringe minority with wacky ideas. I'm trying to figure out what Americans are really looking at. And this is what I see. I see this. The same story plays out over and over again. Nationwide, Democrats lost at least 573 such counties, including municipalities across 5 New England states, according to AP data for the 31 states that track party affiliation. The trend was particularly acute across Michigan and Wisconsin. Although depressed minority turnout in major cities helped Trump win, Democrats quietly conceded that white working class voters represent their most significant challenge in 2020. Wake up. Just start talking sense. Start talking about what Americans actually want. But you know what? I'm gonna end it by saying this. It doesn't matter. The progressive wing of the Democratic Party are so far away from the union working class Democratic Party, actual labor. There is no bridging that divide. If they come out and say Trump's tariffs make sense, I'm not saying that, I'm saying if the Democrats come out in agreement with Trump on tariffs, which many of these people like, if they come out and say that we got to bring manufacturing back, if they come out and start saying all of these things about border security, people are going to say, oh no, it's Trump. The left will smear and slander. They'll say you're boring old Biden and things like that. The moderates might begrudgingly get behind progressives, but not these guys. Not these guys. They're voting for Trump, and they've said it. And that's why Trump won. He won specifically because of working class Democrats who are still Democrats. And this is a really good point about why the Democrats took the House. They took the House because these people at their local level voted in moderate Democrats. But when it comes to the national level, I mean locally as in like their local representative to the federal, government. But when it comes to the more national level stuff, like senators and presidents, who won? Republicans did. Because the Democrats have gone too far left. And I can say it 50 million times, and I'll say it 50 million times more, and I will be sitting here, I very much believe, I will be sitting, I probably won't be sitting here actually, we're opening an office, so things are going great, but I will be sitting in my new office, and I will be saying Donald Trump won 2020. If you can't speak to your base, you will lose. But the Democratic Party is split in half, so I just don't see a path forward. I don't see it. I guess they're trying. We'll see what happens. Stick around. We're going to be talking about the impeachment insanity coming up at 4 p.m. YouTube.com/Timcast. It is a different channel. I will see you all there. Thanks for hanging out. Stick around.